Does an orthopedic condition or sports injury have you sidelined? Make your comeback with GW Hospital Sports Medicine. We offer services from neck to toe, including care for shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, and hands. Plus, we're the official healthcare partner of GW Athletics, the DC Furies, and the DC Revolution. Get back to doing the things you love. Learn more at gwhospital.com/sportsmed or call 888-4GW-DOCS. Physicians are not employees or agents of this hospital.
Inspiration.
I can do anything.
Education.
Let's do this.
And application.
Oh boy, this is going to be good.
Welcome to Like It Matters Radio. Keeping us out of the water hazard with some truth therapy and teeing up solutions for today's big issues. Here's your life caddy, Mr. Scott V. Black.
So welcome to the world of Mr. Black.
Have you ever wondered what's going on with our children? Have you ever worried about their internet activity? Have you ever worried when they play games? Not only what are they seeing, what are they experiencing, but who are they interacting with? You know, and I have an 8-year-old boy who's going on 18, and he is a gamer. And so this is dear and hits home for me, if you will, because our kids are being accessed by a lot of people unknown to us. Our kids are interacting with people on social media, people in gaming platforms, and we don't really know who they are. That could be a 60-year-old man, that could be a 30-year-old woman, that could be someone who shares his bathroom or her bathroom with someone. You know, it could be a lot of different people. We don't know. But today, we're going to get in the arena. Today, I'm going to bring you into the ring, into the battle. You know, there's a battle waging for the hearts and minds of people. We're in the midst of something called fifth-generation warfare. If you don't know what fifth-generation warfare is, Google it. It is a battle for the thoughts, a battle for the hearts, a battle for control of the narrative. See, life is about choices. And those choices made over time become what we would call character. And we learn to make these choices from the map of reality we create through our formative years. Remember, by the time a child is 5 years old, Dr. Alfred Adler says a majority of their map of reality is in place. And we got to remember, no one responds to reality. We respond to our map of reality. And that map is in place by the time we're 5, 6 years old. It's continued to develop, but the majority of it's there. And today, the most impactful thing affecting the development of people is their social media use. I mean, kids are twice as depressive as they were just 10 years ago, with the majority thinking that their life doesn't matter, that they can't do anything right, that they have no purpose, life's not good. That's not a good thought for our children. So we got to ask ourselves, what's going on? Why are kids so depressed? Why are kids struggling? And I'm going to tell you right now, it's because a child is a little human being. And the way we program things affect how they perform. And today, we are blessed because today we're going to have a cultural warrior on here, somebody who saw what was going on and realized that he had to do something about it. So after the break, we're going to be joined by CEO and founder of a company called TruePlay. His name is Brent Dusing. And Brent and his team have put together a gaming platform to bring high-quality fun and biblical sound entertainment to audiences worldwide. And Brent Dusing is, I love games, so I'm looking forward to this. But we got to remember what this is about. This is about a battle going on. You know, the Bible tells us very clearly, train up a child in the way he should go when he is old, and he will not depart from it, because we put structure in place. The good book also says you can, sins of the father go 3 to 4 generations for those who hate God, for those who hate God. 3 to 4 generations, and we live in America now that hates God, that thinks Jesus is the leader of the largest hate group. And so this is why the world is going after our children, the prince of the power of the air. And so we've got to protect our children. You got to understand, kids learn from what they see, hear, and feel. We are little meaning makers. Remember Dr. Viktor Frankl and the meaning, right? Logotherapy. And what logotherapy is a science that realizes that man has a will to meaning, that we are purpose-driven creatures. Why do you think the purpose-driven life was so huge? Because we have a will to meaning. It's ingrained in us. And so today we're going to get a hold of this thing called this cultural war. We're going to get in the ring. We're going to have a gentleman who's fighting the good fight in the gaming industry, using the internet, using social media, using today's technology. So after the break, we're going to be hearing from Brent Dusing. And I'm going to share some incredible stats. And we're going to find out what drove him and why is it so important what he's doing. But first, I want to share with you a great little poem. Brett and Kate McKay found this poem in a book on public speaking from 1900. And listen, while it was written for young boys, it's just as applicable to young men. Hard work, dedication, resiliency are all qualities we should try to develop in our sons and in ourselves. It says this: boys of spirit, boys of will, boys of muscles, brain, and power, fit to cope with anything. These are wanted every hour. Not the weak and whining drones who all troubles magnify, not the watchword of I can't, but the nobler one, I'll try. Do whatever you have to do with a true and earnest zeal. Bend your sinews to the task. Put your shoulders to the wheel. Though your duty may be hard, look not on it as an ill. If it be an honest task, do it with an honest will. In the workshop, on the farm, at the desk, wherever you be, from your future effort, boys, comes a nation's destiny. See, it goes back to this thing called character, right? Character is about our choices. Character is the mental, moral qualities distinctive in an individual. Where do those qualities come from? They come from our map of reality. We got to be taught. What does a man act like? What does a girl look like? What does a relationship with God look like? What does being kind look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Our brain is a sensory-based organ. We store everything in the senses. Any memory we have is stored in something we saw, something we heard, something we felt, something we smelt, or something we tasted. And so you got to realize we're emotional creatures. We have a brain that responds to what it sees, hears, and feels. And so that is the classroom of life. As we're a little child, we see how people treat each other. We notice the patterns. We notice how we're treated. And then we go to put meaning on it. And as a young child today, social media, television, the internet, gaming platforms have a huge impact. And they're making us lazy. They're making us easily bored. They're making us overweight. They're making us not think anymore. You know, as Abraham Lincoln said, that character is like a tree and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we think of. The tree is the real thing. The best index to a person's character is how he treats people who can't do him any good and how he treats people who can't find back, Abigail Van Buren said. Our kids, we need to be fighting the good fight. When I send out my daily wayofthewarrior.blog, I address 3 roles in every human being. It is the role of the leader, the role of the conduit, and the role of the warrior. And we are called to fight the good fight. God says it's impossible to please him without faith. Faith is a belief system, and we're called to wage the battle of the mind. Paul, in much of his writing, uses warrior metaphors. We're called to fight the good fight, to put on the armor of God, to hold our thoughts captive. If we are married, we should be fighting for the sanctity and purity of our wedding bed and our thoughts. If we are parents, then we should be fighting for the innocence of our children from a world that's looking to pervert and twist them into children of the world instead of children of God. And today, that's the arena we're going to jump into. Today, we're going to be talking with Brent Dusing, founder and CEO of TruePlay. You know why? Because the devil uses gaming systems as one of the wiles. The Bible tells us beware of the wiles of the devil. 31% of boys are playing over 18 games online. That means they're for adults, but 31% of young boys are playing them. 87% of children are reporting having their own social media or instant messaging account, despite minimum age requirements of 13. 64% of children said they've been contacted by a stranger in an online game. 25% of children have seen or experienced something online in the last year that bothered them. And 29% of children kept it to themselves rather than reporting the perversion they saw. Today, we're going to fight the big fight. We'll be right back with Mr. Brent Dusing and True Play.
I could listen to any national big personality like Glenn Beck or Dave Ramsey, but the way Scott Black applies his academic approach to the average person is so much more relatable. Hey, this is Brett from Sacramento. On the Like It Matters radio show, Scott encompasses a 360-degree view of day-to-day life. So that obviously starts with spirituality and branches out into leadership, branches out into your workplace, social issues, family issues, local issues, national issues, political issues. If you're able to clearly see kind of where you're at, what your purpose is, everybody needs this. It is life-changing.
You know Like It Matters Radio brings truth therapy. Here's what you can do to help share this truth. Please call the program manager of your local radio station and ask them to add Like It Matters Radio to their schedule. Like It Matters Radio is radio like it matters.
From Glencoe to New Mexico and Apple Valley to Napa Valley, we're where you are. Ringing liberty and truth. Stream Freedom 1570 at Odyssey.com or with the free Odyssey app.
Did you know that there's one place you can go to hear God's words of hope spoken into your life anytime, anywhere? OnePlace.com. Listen to your favorite Christian programs, read daily devotionals, and get answers to your tough questions, all at OnePlace.com or on the OnePlace app in the Apple and Android app stores. Visit OnePlace.com today.
If you're like most Commerce Water customers, a wet technology softener will save you 700 gallons of water and 300 pounds of salt each year. Get $400 for your old water softener, and Commerce will even haul it away. Call Commerce Water, Commerce.com.
Welcome to the world of Mr. Black.
You've had a difference in your relationship with God, too. Tell me about that.
I was raised in a church, and I kind of stepped away in my adult life, and this class kind of brought me right back to my faith, and that's a huge part of my life that's just been missing. And I feel rejuvenated, if that makes sense, that, knowing that God's walking right next to me every day, every night. He's right here for me and everyone else for that matter, but he's here for me right now.
And you have some peace, don't you?
Oh, it's really amazing. Sorry, I'm going to get emotional.
That's okay.
But it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling inside my heart.
Like It Matters' unique approach allows people to see, hear, and experience leadership in motion. Like It Matters Radio. Radio like it matters.
Welcome back to Like It Matters Radio. Radio like it matters. Inspiration, education, and application. And today, we got our warrior gear on. Today, it's time. There's a reason why we have to put on the whole armor of God. And each one of those pieces is absolutely critical. You got a breastplate to guard your heart. But you also have a helmet to guard your thoughts. 4th of July, I got this article, 7-year-old shot and killed on Courtney Campbell Causeway in Tampa by the police. It says a 7-year-old was shot and killed in the 8500 block of the Courtney Campbell Causeway in Tampa. The incident just adds to what's been going on when folks are not responsible with their firearms, said the deputy chief. But let me tell you what happened. This is important. Just after 8:30 p.m. at Ben T. Davis Beach, police responded to reports of a shooting at a boat ramp. Investigators said they believe two groups got in a fight that led to gunfire. Witnesses told officials that one group was mad that the second group was riding jet skis too close to the shore where the kids were playing in the water. When the confrontation escalated to gunfire, the 7-year-old's grandfather grabbed the child and ran into their truck to be safe, according to police. Officials said the bullet hit the grandfather's finger, and they believe the same bullet hit the 7-year-old in the head, killing the boy while they were inside the truck seeking cover. Now, that's a terrible story. And I'm going to tell you right now, that grandfather did the right thing, and yet his grandson wound up dying. You know what his dad did? His grandfather took him to safety, took him to a place where he should have been safe, but it wasn't safe. Which really leads us to what we're talking about. Your home might feel safe, but we have something called the internet. I have an 8-year-old boy. He's the youngest of 4. I got 4 kids, and one of them still at home, 8 years old. He wants to play every game. He wants to play grown-up games. Matter of fact, some stats here, 31% of boys are playing over 18 games online. That means they're playing grown-up games with perversion, with blood, with sex, with all that. 1 out of 3 boys. 87% of children report having their own social media account, and we're talking about under 12 years old, under 13 years old. And it's just proven that because of social media, depression is going through the roof. It's doubled in 10 years. 26% of children have seen or experienced something online in the last year, and 1/3 of those kept it to themselves rather than reporting it to someone. They didn't want to get in trouble or get someone else in trouble. 26% report that they have friends and followers that they don't know online. According to Psychology Today, the average child is exposed to online pornography by the age of 11. And you know, whenever there's a crisis, we got people who are willing to stand up. And today you're going to meet one of those warriors. His name is Brent Dusing. And what Brent has done, he's created a gaming platform to bring high-quality, fun, and biblically sound entertainment to audiences worldwide. An entrepreneur at heart, Dusing pioneered game creation with Christian content through Lightside Games, a Christian gaming studio reaching more than 7 million game players worldwide and resulting in 25,000 decisions for Christ. That's incredible. Dusing has been featured on CNN, Fox News, ABC News, The Wall Street Journal, New York Times, USA Today, Entertainment Weekly, and other news media. And now we are blessed to have the founder and CEO of True Play, Mr. Brent Dusing. Hey, Brent, I really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Good morning to you.
Man, looking at your resume, I feel kind of small right now. So I just, there's a lot of great stuff you're doing. You're a warrior, and I love that. I don't think enough people realize that we're in a battle. There's a battle for them. Yeah, and it's for the hearts and minds of our kids. Let me ask you, this is a weird thing because I struggle with this. When people ask you what you do, what do you tell them?
It depends on who it is, right? I think there was a funny internet meme about 10 years ago, like what I think I do, what my mom thinks I do, what my friends think I do. I don't know if you guys, right? Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
The way I really think about it to people is, look, we're building an entertainment platform that your kids are going to love and really enjoy, that's world-class, that also contains God's truth. That's what I really think. I want people to think about True Play as. Now, True Play includes a lot of games, but it also includes video content, also includes comics. So it's one app. You subscribe, you get in there, and it's stuff that's built by world-class professionals who've been, building games and writing, books millions of people have read, and art that the people have seen in all kinds of places, and in a way that, like I said, is going to convey God's truth, whether it's biblical stories or whether it's new IP we've created, that again, your kids are really going to love. Another way to think about it is, he's like, what do you tell people you do? I think too often Christian entertainment has been sold to kids kind of like Robitussin. Hey, you need to drink this. It'll help your cough. Yeah, but I don't like Robitussin. But it'll help your cough. What we try to do is sell chocolate cake stuffed with vitamins and protein and calcium. So even if the kid tries to eat chocolate cake for breakfast, mom's, well, actually, if I look at the side of the box, it's better for him than the cereal he was about to eat. And that's what we're about. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the cool thing about it is I'm a student of the mind. I'm a neuroscientist. I do leadership training, doing it for 31 years. And so I know what's going on. I always I like to pull back the curtain, behind, pay no attention to the little man behind the curtain, right? that dog, get that dog out of here, right? But what's going on is it's mental manipulation. Because we have an unconscious mind that really runs the show, and we only use 3 to 5% of our brain consciously. So what's going is they're getting programmed. They're seeing things. They're getting normal things. Everything's being normalized. And when you can be killing people and see boobs and see people doing things to other people at a young age, it becomes normal. and then we act out what we know, what we've seen, what we've experienced. So when I ask what you do, I know you do games, but I believe, knowing what I've read about you, that you do it for a deeper purpose, because I believe there are two operating systems out there. I'm just talking to you as a gamer, and I'm not talking about Windows and Apple. What I'm talking about is there's an there's an FOS and there's a GOS. There's a flesh operating system and there's a God operating system. And undoubtedly, you have a GOS. And so you're doing what you're doing, not just so that kids have good games, but you're doing what you're doing for a deeper purpose, because you're a child of God, and you know that you're supposed to share and impact people. What got you on this drive? I'm sorry,
well, you're right. I mean, we are here. It's everything you said. Just a few minutes ago, before I joined, you were talking about anxiety, suicide, depression rates are all-time highs for kids. And if you read the media story, it's, if we just spent more money, if we just gave us the right medication, everything would be fine. No, we're the most medicated, moneyed up culture in the history of the world. It's almost like a drug cartel. Hey, drugs and money are the solution to your problem. No, they're not. They're not. And our children, if you ask anybody, whether they're Christians or not, hey, what's the most important thing? If they have kids, they'll say my kids. People almost always tell you that. But then if you look, I had a pastor say one time, hey, you tell me what your priorities are. It doesn't matter what you say. Just let me look at your checkbook and let me look at your calendar. And so then you think, well, what's our scorecard? Well, anxiety, suicide, depression rates are all-time highs. You talked about pornography, exposure to children. And the data's coming out. Christians have been talking about this for centuries. Even in the secular world now, there's data coming out about how pornography affects relationships, depression, erectile dysfunction, marriages, divorce rates. All that data is it's irrefutable, and yet we're the most, pornographic society in the history of human civilization. And so where I come from is, look, we owe it to our children to give them a better life than we have. Most people, if you talk to anybody, you talk about their life story, they talk about previous trauma. Well, my parents didn't do this for me. Somebody did this to me when I was a kid. I was abused. I was neglected. My teachers. And I'm not dismissing that. That's valid.
Yeah, of course not.
Fine. But now we're the adults in the room, right?
Yep.
If you're late Gen X or you're millennial, you've got kids at home, maybe, and you got children at home. We owe it to them to build a better society and a better culture. And it's worse than it's ever been for children because of all the statistics we've talked about. The worst one is, while 62% of Americans over 40 believe in God, only 32% of kids. And it's back to what you said. It's the flesh operating system or the God operating system, right? We're losing children because they don't see God's truth anywhere except for church. And churches, the last thing we should be doing is blaming churches. The pastors I know, and it doesn't matter the denomination, they're out doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's the rest of the congregation is treating church like McDonald's. Hey, well, I didn't like the music. Well, the music wasn't for you. It was actually for God. I didn't really like what the pastor said because he was wrong about this thing. Well, maybe the pastor was wrong about this thing, but how many times have you been wrong about this thing, right? It's like, hey,
omniscience, omniscience.
You need to go out and be the change. I heard a pastor that I just love. He said, Jesus didn't die on the cross just so we could do church. He died on the cross so we could be a transformative effect on the society around us. And as Christians, we've gotten complacent. And there's all this evil that's happening to our children because we let it go. So you ask where I come from. That's where I come from. And it's not just me. I've got a phenomenal team at True Play. We've got almost 100 people here.
Oh, wow.
People. Oh, yeah. And yes, because True Play, if you check it out, if you're on the App Store, you can download it. We'll be on Android later this month. Okay. It's dozens and dozens of hours of content, different games, videos, comics, more stuff coming all the time. And it's the people here, and it's the people who've already subscribed, and the people joining our movement, because there's a movement of people who are saying, look, we've got to get God's truth in front of our children to really change our next generation for the better. And that's really why we're here.
Amen. And what you're saying is so important. And this is what I want to pick up in the next segment, because undoubtedly two of your passions collided. So you undoubtedly have a passion for the Lord like I do. You're a real warrior, from the tribe of Issachar, right? Good warriors from the tribe of Issachar. You know what time it is. But you also undoubtedly had have a passion for gaming. Have you always had a passion for gaming?
Yeah, I have. When I was a child, I got a Nintendo Entertainment System. And for those old enough to remember, the Nintendo in the home in the mid-'80s, I think it was 86, was
huge.
Was a watershed moment.
Hey, Brent, we're getting ready to go to a hard break. Let's pick up this conversation after the break. Today we're talking to Brent Dusing, who is CEO and founder of a company called True Play. It's a brand new gaming platform. You cannot miss it. You're so blessed. Our kids are going to have some good games with good content. We'll be back after these breaks to continue the conversation.
We are all in the construction business, constructing memories, relationships, new ideas, and a legacy that will outlive us. Life is best imagined as a construction project.
Hey, can we get that backhoe over here?
At Like It Matters, we craft tools and teach you how to use them. Mr. Black has a bevy of tools to help you build your life into your dream. One of those tools is individual life counseling. The best analogy is a life caddy, because sometimes you just need another set of eyes. A second tool, Books by Mr. Black, always opening up your mind. Third, workshops, where we teach people how they work and how to function at a higher level. And don't forget the daily radio show, Like It Matters, at 11 a.m. on Freedom 1570.
Nice job. That's it for today. Wrap it up.
Contact Mr. Black at mr.black@likeitmatters.net. Building a better you today. Likeitmatters.net. Helping people live their lives like they matter. That's mr.black@likeitmatters.net. Discover the tools to build your relationships, your vision, and your life.
Paid actor, not a real customer. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 44-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Welcome to Ethos, a new kind of insurance company that believes life insurance should be hassle-free, affordable, and accessible for everyone.
For around $1 a day, I got a 20-year, $250,000 term life insurance policy without a medical exam. All I had to do was answer a few health questions and snap, family protected. It was quick and easy. Ethos is 100% online. I got a quote in seconds, applied in minutes, and got coverage in hours. Just answer a few health questions. No medical exam, no blood tests, no hassle. Look, nobody wants to plan for the unthinkable, but it would be so much worse to not plan at all. So don't put it off. It feels great having the peace of mind knowing that my family is protected.
Ethos, the 100% online hassle-free way to get affordable life insurance. Don't wait. Get your free online quote now at ethoslife.com. That's ethoslife.com.
Here's a real student testimonial for Like It Matters Leadership Awakening Training.
The way we met Scott was through an answered prayer. We had a business associate who recommended a leadership training process. Initially, I had been through just a series of all kinds of leadership training and felt like I had been trained as much as I possibly could. We went hesitantly. But the one thing, it would have to be consistent with my faith. And it was your awakening class. And that class was absolutely not only the answer to prayers, business, but personally. It gave us the tools and it gave us the foundation to be able to really formalize and verbalize our values.
To learn more from Mr. Black, the next Leadership Awakening class in Minneapolis is August 31st through September 2nd. Details at likeitmatters.net. That's likeitmatters.net.
Welcome back to Like It Matters Radio. Radio, like it matters. Inspiration, education, and application. And today, we got our warrior gear on. Today, we are talking about the fight. We're not talking specifically about a fight, but we are in a battle. We're in a battle, good versus evil, light versus dark, narrow path versus wide path. Basically an FOS, a flesh operating system, or a GOS, a God operating system. And one of the biggest ways that our kids and our people, us included adults, are influenced is through what we do on the internet, social media, and all that. And so today we are so blessed because we have a warrior, a gentleman who has a passion for gaming like I do. I'm a gamer too, and has a passion for God like I do. I love the Lord my God with all my heart, with all my mind, with all my strength, and so does Brent. So Brent Dusing is CEO of a company called True Play and is launching its games in the upcoming months with feature biblical principles and storylines in the, quote, rhyme verse. We're going to find out what that is, where the heroes are animal children who are on their own journey journeys and encounter dark forces. The characters develop on their adventures and encounter their own personal journeys of growth. In other words, they're learning how to have biblical character. So let's welcome back to Like It Matters Radio, Brent Dusing. Again, Brent, I appreciate you being here. I know you're a busy man.
Yeah, great to be with you today, Scott.
Hey, you were telling a story about NES, and by the way, just so you know, I am a gamer. I still hunt my Pokemon. Scarlet, and I got Scarlet. I've cleaned the Pokédex. I got my shiny charm. I got about 2. So I'm a gamer. My family's gamers. We got a Switch. We got an Xbox One. And so my little boy, 8 years old, he has my phone more than I do. He plays games on my phone a lot. And so I understand the struggle with this thing. But you were talking before about your passion for video games and gaming, and you said you were talking about in the mid-'80s when the NES came out. Go ahead and pick up the story.
Yeah, so I think that the Nintendo Entertainment System in the mid-'80s was a step function of difference of how video games affected our culture. You know, the same way that Star Wars changed what a blockbuster meant.
Yeah.
If you're not old enough to have watched a science fiction movie made before Star Wars in 1977, it is night and day. The same true for video games. When the Nintendo came out, just the quality of the graphics, but also Shigeru Miyamoto's designs of Mario and Zelda. And so for me, you know, grew up playing games, grew up actually making board games and role-playing games that my friends would actually come over and ask to play. So it was always kind of a passion of mine to play games, to with my friends, or design games that people enjoyed. And then I really started, you know, doing that professionally. My first company I built was a mobile coupon company in grocery stores that wound up, you know, by God's grace, being pretty successful. And then the next thing I did was we built video games on Facebook that were explicitly Christian. So we built Stained Glass, Journey of Jesus, Journey of Moses, and had, you know, millions of people play them globally.
Is,
so we
is that
knew
light
there was
side
an
gaming?
audience.
I'm sorry.
That was
is
light
that light
side,
side gaming?
That's right.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That was
Go
light
ahead.
side, and then that's right. And then what we realized we needed to do a few years ago was we needed to build one platform, like a subscription service, you know, so like a Netflix or Disney Plus, where you subscribe and everything's right there. But we're instead of doing, you know, movies, we're doing games, videos, digital comics, and we're adding more and more content all the time. But really high quality stuff. You know, it's I think it's really important that we build. If you think about this, Christians build phenomenal artwork, phenomenal buildings, great music. You know, look at the history of art and architecture in the Christian West from about the time Constantine accepted Christ until the late 1800s. Now, since the 20th century, there's been a drift, but then there's been a movement in the last 10 years to change that. Look at the music people like Hillsong and Jesus Culture, Lauren Daigle made. Look at The Chosen. You look at The Chosen and what they did. So there has been started to be this Christian renaissance in quality entertainment content. What's been lacking is anything for kids, because kids are, obviously kids, I've heard it said by a pastor, I believe this. I think children are born. I think we're born knowing there is a God. We may not, of course, know everything about it. But I think we're kind of wired to think, there's a higher power than me. There's a reason I'm here. There's a higher purpose. Obviously, as parents, it's our responsibility to be part of revealing who God is. The way you raise your kid, and show them the Bible and take them to church and stuff. But I feel that we feel at True Play that, look, parents make the best parents, right? Like it's the responsibility of the values you want to teach your child. And unfortunately, too many entertainment choices are so toxic for kids, full of the
terrible
sexual and gruesome content, inappropriate content, things that they wouldn't have wanted to see themselves as parents when they were kids, and now being thrust upon. So we feel, no, we got to make stuff that delivers God's truth, but also that kids are excited and jazzed about. And I think when you look at the Rimverse and the characters we've created, it's a brand new set of characters. You can check it out on our website at trueplaygames.com. But, there are characters who have their own personalities. There's people, she's a bunny rabbit, she wears a tiger costume because, bunny rabbits aren't given very much respect. And tigers are ferocious. And she's very, right? She's very headstrong.
Oh, that's cool.
She believes in God, but she's not very interested in other people's opinions. She doesn't really care. Yeah. Like if she makes a mistake, that's your fault, not her, kind of attitude. And so, she goes on this adventure to save a lost child, and finds this evil queen who's kind of corrupted the society. There's another boy whose name is Lucas, who's a skunk who wears a crocodile robot suit that he invented that flies and shoots laser beams. But unfortunately, his brother died about a year ago, and he's on the autism spectrum. He doesn't understand really what death means. He doesn't know who God is. He doesn't understand why that happened. And he goes on this grandiose adventure that involves, spaceships and laser beams and bad guys. And so they're basically, it's this fantastical world through, these unique characters, but dealing with issues that kids of today deal with, but in a healthy, godly way. So
yeah, it sounds like what you're doing is not since VeggieTales. And VeggieTales, I thought early, they did such a great job. To this day, my little boy Benai on Netflix, they took off VeggieTales in the house. It's just VeggieTales in the city now, which was not as good. But VeggieTales, because they're always a godly message, always this and that. And so I feel this is one of the thing that you're building, and that took off huge. And there's nothing in the gaming platform. And what you're talking about, it is true. We're born. It's the study of logotherapy, Dr. Viktor Frankl, that man has a will to meaning, and we are born, I believe, with a shape, a void that's in the shape of God. And our purpose is to get to know God and to make sure that other people know God. But this is interesting, the Rimverse. So is this what you're calling your world with these Christian characters, the Rimverse, or is it an actual game that's the Rimverse?
Yeah, it's really the whole world it's the whole world they live in. So TruePlay is the platform that contains different content. Some of our games are based on Bible stories. So we have a game called Stained Glass, which you literally play a match 3 game, a puzzle game, and you complete these stained glass windows that tell stories about the Old Testament. There's another we're partnering with the Action Bible. If you've ever if you don't have an Action Bible,
my son has one.
Right. It's perfect for that age of a boy, right? So it's for those who don't know, it's one of my favorite children's Bible. That's a very successful. They've sold over 3 million copies.
Yeah, it's a great Bible.
Comic book illustrated. Yeah, 2 inches thick worth of stories.
Yeah,
and so we have some of their comics on platform, and we're adding more and more all the time. And then the other set of content though is what we call the Rimverse. So it's Maple, the girl who's a bunny rabbit in a tiger costume.
Yeah.
It's Lucas, the skunk in the crocodile robot outfit, and it's Benjamin, who's a Wolverine that wears a polar bear costume, who's kind of a fierce warrior, King David style guy who's trying to rescue his friend, who's a younger girl, and she's lost. And he's got to go save her. And again, there's adventures and there's bad guys, but it's a tale that's kind of told in a lot of ways like the Avengers, where each of the characters has their own game and their own stories, and then they intersect with each other, and there's a much larger, grandiose kind of plot at play. And by the way, the characters, they pray, and God shows up and answers their prayers, sometimes in the way they expect, sometimes in ways they don't expect, which is how
like real life? Like real life?
Yeah, exactly, right? And there's there's scripture, and there's evil, and some of the kids, and none of the children are perfect. Just like I heard a pastor say one time, well, yeah, exactly. God never uses perfect people because he doesn't have any available on his team. So he has to use, right? And that's
so true.
Everyone has their own issues, just like all of us do. But that doesn't mean you can't do great things, right?
That's so cool. And my 8-year-old boy is a gamer. So you have a person here, and man, I tell you, I do the most powerful 2.5-day leadership training at Rocky World. It's Christian based. I'm a man of God. I'm a pastor first and foremost. So if you ever want something to take your team to the next level, reach out to me. But I'm telling you, I'm impressed. How do people get a hold of you? How do people be a part of this? Give us some information on how to connect with you.
Yeah. So check us out at TruePlayGames.com. You can sign up for a subscription. We've got iOS, iPads, and iPhones live today, and we'll be on Android by the end of this month, by the end of July. You can also check us out download straight from the App Store, or follow us on the big socials. So again, this is a movement that's starting, and our goal is kind of like you asked me at the beginning, what I'm really here for. We're here to change the lives of children. Whether it's Christian children who just need something that's enriching and edifying and to grow, or whether it's people who don't know God at all. When we were at Lightside, we had 7 million player games, and a third of them weren't Christians. Because there's a lot of people who are hungry for the truth, and who, there's so much wickedness right now in our world. There's a lot of people I've met who say, look, if there's this much evil, there must be good somewhere. and maybe they had some, when they grew up, they weren't exposed, or maybe they got, something wrong happened with the church. I know those things happen, but at the end of the day, God is real and he loves us, and he really does want the best for us. And that's really my hope for people,
Well, I got to tell you, Brent, what an enlightening man you are. It's good to know there are people out there like that, like you. So we're talking with Brent Dusing. He's CEO of a gaming platform called TruePlay. Reach out. Great man, great organization, and a great calling at this important time. We'll be back after these messages. If you're confused, lost, lonely, or feel like you're living in a foreign land, you are not alone. This is Scott B. Black, host of Like It Matters Radio. It's this crisis that created Like It Matters Radio in 2015. God charged me to bring hope to the airwaves by bringing clarity to the confusion and to help guide people to function at a higher level. We bring truth therapy, and we need your help. Like It Matters Radio is now available to radio stations across this country. We need Like It Matters Radio in all 50 states, and here's what you can do to help. Please call the program manager of your local radio station. Ask them to add Like It Matters Radio to their schedule. It doesn't cost them anything and will add value to their station lineup. If you have questions, you can email me at mrblack@likeitmattersradio.com. Our nation needs to hear this message because our beloved country is rapidly deteriorating and freedom is continually being quenched. Call your local radio station today and ask them to add Like It Matters Radio. Together, we can help others live their lives like it matters.
From South St. Paul to Southeast Asia and Little Canada to regular-sized Canada, we're where you are. Listen to Freedom 1570 anytime, anywhere at Odyssey.com or with the free Odyssey app. Take your investment knowledge to new heights this year on the 2023 Eagle Financial Publications Cruise. Join us along with The Money Show on a luxury voyage to the Caribbean and learn from top financial experts like George Gilder and Mark Skousen through workshops and seminars. Relax and refresh, all while discussing investment strategies with like-minded individuals. Secure your spot today at EagleFinancialCruise.com. That's EagleFinancialCruise.com. Eagle Financial is a division of Salem Media Group.
Whether you're preparing for a typical Sunday morning or a special holiday service, you'll find an array of helpful, creative tools from Worship House Media. From countdown timers to sermon illustrations, visit worshiphousemedia.com. That's worshiphousemedia.com, a division of Salem Media Group.
I could listen to any national big personality like Glenn Beck or Dave Ramsey, but the way Scott Black applies his academic approach to the average person is so much more relatable. Hey, this is Brett from Sacramento. On the Like It Matters radio show, Scott encompasses a 360-degree view of day-to-day life. So that obviously starts with spirituality and branches out into leadership, branches out into your workplace, social issues, family issues, local issues, national issues, political issues. If you're able to clearly see kind of where you're at, what your purpose is, everybody needs this. It is life-changing.
You know Like It Matters Radio brings truth therapy. Here's what you can do to help share this truth. Please call the program manager of your local radio station and ask them to add Like It Matters Radio to their schedule. Like It Matters Radio is radio like it matters.
Welcome back to Like It Matters Radio. Radio like it matters. Didn't you hear what the guy said? Inspiration, education, and application. And man, what a great guest. You know, we just had Brent Dusing, a CEO and founder of TruePlay. And we are going to subscribe to that. Sounds like an incredible platform, incredible thing. And he's a guy fighting the good fight. He's a warrior for God. And this is why it matters. 43% of millennials don't know, don't care, and don't believe God exists. You got to get this. This is what's going on. This is why I download this from Facebook. Betrayed. This was from a woman named Sarah Johnson. Today is the day I mark 4 years since the worst betrayal of my life. I threw my joke of a husband a birthday party, and after everyone went home, I caught him making out with our friend's 21-year-old daughter in my yard. Over the next few weeks, I learned that not only was her baby his, but he had a son on the way from a different woman, all while sleeping with my friend Amber. As if that weren't bad enough, our kitchen/dining/living room were demolished to the studs for a remodeling plan that we planned together. We had just bought new vehicles, designed and ordered our dream fish house, plus taken on remodeling debt, all of which he deceitfully led me into. After throwing him out and catching my first assault charge, I struggled to find my way back. I was forced into bankruptcy after working so hard at fixing my credit, but I had allowed my blind faith and trust in him to get me so buried in debt that was my only option. With a ton of support, I made the biggest comeback of my life. One day at a time, I worked on projects. I learned how to remodel with a ton of help. I flipped every room in my house and made it my home. I did landscaping projects, fixed my fence, and built my dream deck and pool. And when my employer was purchased by a large corporation, I made a huge career move that changed my life. I'm only typing this book to give strength and motivation to anyone who is struggling or has been abused, betrayed by a person they do not love. And you know what? In 31 years of doing leadership training, can I tell you, this is a common message. You know why? Because you train up a child in the way of God, and they will not depart. Yeah, they might go off the rail. Yeah, they might get distracted. Yeah, they might jump on the wide path for a while. But it's in them. It's foundational. It's structural. And eventually they'll come back. They might have to experience a lot of pain. But you know what's lacking here is any notion of a God. This woman's out there on her own. She has a FOS, the flesh operating system. Not a mention of a higher power, not a mention of Jehovah, Yahweh, Adonai, El Shaddai, El Elyon. It's all her. She's fought the fight. She's overcome all this. No, there's a God that's done this for her. You know why? Because a lot of people are left alone. A lot of children are being babysat now by the internet, by TV, by their phones, by their pads. Why does it matter? Because parents leave kids alone all the time. How about this story? Cleveland woman left 16-month-old daughter to die alone in order to go on vacation. A woman's accused of, this was yesterday's news. This isn't from 10 years ago or 100 years ago. A woman's accused of abandoning her 16-month-old child to die alone so that she could go on vacation for 10 days. 31-year-old Crystal Candelario allegedly left her daughter inside their Cleveland home on June 6th and did not return until June 16th at 8 a.m. Stunning. O'Malley, who's the chief county prosecutor, says it's truly horrifying. She was later identified by her name of Jaylene Candelaria, the little baby. She was found in an extremely dehydrated state, according to an affidavit, and her playpen was soiled with feces and urine. Neighbors said that wasn't the first time the woman had left her daughter alone. I didn't say 16 years. I said 16 months. She got partied. I saw another thing that she went for a booty call, went to go have sex with somebody. And no one was ever called. My wife went to Humane Society to donate some food that her dog won't eat, and they have no food, and the animals are dying there. So she goes there, and they're closed, and she called around, waited around, finally got in there. But also what happened earlier, someone had dropped off a crate of 8 to 10 puppies. There was no one there, so they left the 8 and 10 puppies there. We don't know how long a full day could have been. In the hot sun with no food, no water. This is what's going on. We have no relationship with God, and we're being accused. I started the second segment when I brought Brent on talking about a 7-year-old who was shot and killed. And some of you might say, that seems off topic. What does that have to do with talking about gaming platforms and internet? Because the way this kid was shot, Grandpa took this 7-year-old boy to what he knew was safe, and poor guy, that grandpa, oh my God, I would not blame him. He's probably blaming himself for his grandson getting killed. His granddad wanted to get him safe, put him in a truck, away from everything. He knew it'd be safe, but it happened, a stray bullet. And then what I found out later, I'm not sure, I didn't say this earlier, I think the bullet might have come from the gun of his father. When there's a shootout, whatever, they can trace the gun back to, so possibly, I'm not sure if this is true or not, possibly it was from his father. See, we think we're safe in our home. We think our kids are just watching a game. We think our kids are just playing a game. But H. Jackson Brown says our character is what we do when we think no one's looking. You know, Google did a study on what searchers have done at what time. And this was like 2 years ago. I saw the study. And he said from 12 a.m. to 3 a.m., the 3 most Googled words. Ready for this? Depression, suicide, porn. See, between the stimulus and the response, there's a space, and in that space is our power and our freedom. But here's the problem. What do we feel in the space between? Our stuff, our hurt, our pain. We hold on to, we keep a record wrong, we keep a pound of flesh. Remember, the mind is 6 times faster than we can talk. So when someone says something or does something, we don't respond to that. We respond to our narrative about it. Dr. Eric Byrne, his study is called transactional analysis. And basically a complex way to take communication, psychology, all that, and put it in layman's terms. And he said a transaction is what we call communication. There's a stimulus and a response. That's called a transaction in transactional analysis. And that is communication. Somebody says or does something, and someone responds to it. Now here's why you need to know what I said is important. You can tell a man's religion in time of despair. Why? Because in time of despair, we go to what we know. We're a sponge. When life squeezes us, when we get a little pressure on us, the only thing that comes out of us is what's in us. This is why today's guest and the gaming platform is so important. How do things get in us? Well, that's easy. Things become part of our experience through our 5 portals of entry. We see things. We hear things. We do things, either tactilely or emotionally. We smell things or we taste things. The 5 sentence: olfactory, gustatory, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And so what's going on now is there's a battle, and our kids are being taught terrible things. I think a perfect example is affirmative action. I mean, we've become an openly racist country in America, and now it's government-sponsored racism, as long as it's the right type of racism. They just overturned affirmative action, which should have been done. You can't solve racism with racism. Dr. King said that. You can't drive out hate with hate. Only love can do that. You can't drive out darkness with darkness. Only light can do that. And conversely, or continually on the same logical pattern, you can't drive out racism with racism. Only God can do that. Only understanding can do that. Because if I can understand you a little bit better, and you can understand me a little bit better, doesn't make sense we're in a position to have a better relationship. But we live in such a hateful, racist country. In the debate on affirmative action, Justice Brown Jackson and Justin Clarence Thomas went at each other on opposing views. And here's what Thomas said. He said, quote, Justice Jackson's race-infused worldview falls flat at each step. Quote, individuals are the sum of their unique experiences, challenges, and accomplishments. What matters is not the barriers they face, but how they choose to confront them. And their race is not to blame for everything good or bad that happens in their life. See, that's what you got to understand. This is how we program people. Things they see, things they hear, things they feel. We're having trans being jammed down people's throat. Historic trans study leaves Americans speechless. They're showing now that people who are trans, parents of trans, they're psychologically unstable. Look at a new Danish landmark study. Finds that suicide rates and psychiatric conditions for trans-identifying people in Denmark is 3.5 times higher, and a suicide attempt rate 7.7 times higher. Now, here's the problem. They're open in Denmark. They're pro-transgender. They're over the edge. They're bringing it. It's okay. So they're not people against them. And yet 350% higher rate of suicide. There's something going on between the stimulus and the response, and the world is attempting to get our kids. Warrior, we need to keep our kids safe from the wiles of the enemy. That's your job, parents. Do it well. I'm Mr. Black reminding you, when you live your life like it matters, it does.
Are you a small business owner wondering if you qualify for the Employee Retention Credit? With careful accounting, you can receive up to $26,000 per W-2 employee in employee payroll tax refunds through this federal program. One call to 800-315-8175 is all it takes to find out if you qualify for the Employee Retention Credit and possibly for quick funding with one of our accredited funding partners in as little as 72 hours. Our process has been thoroughly vetted by a team of experienced tax attorneys and CPAs, and our refund specialists will work tirelessly to get you every penny your business deserves. Plus, with our exclusive audit assistance guarantee, your business is protected. Call Careful Accounting now at 800-315-8175. See if you qualify for an ERC advance payment and get the cash your business needs to succeed. That's 800-315-8175. Your small business may qualify to receive up to $26,000 per W-2 employee in payroll tax refunds. Call 800-315-8175 now.
Michael J. for Hope for the Warriors. Started back in 2006 at Camp Lejeune. Military families witnessing the effects of war on their loved ones. Now, almost 20 years later, they've aided over 53,000 service members, veterans, and families with confidential, high-quality behavioral health care services at little or no cost to post 9/11 vets and their families. Over 91% of every dollar donated goes directly to the programs. If you're as concerned about our heroes as I am, go to hopeforthewarriors.org.